Newsworthy Stories is known for generating news coverage for television and social media, helping businesses, agencies, and nonprofits grow through story. Behind every story, there is a media strategy designed to keep your story and messaging in the news. Learn the easiest ways to get news coverage through my workshops and masterclasses that are based on my handbook, How to Get Television News Coverage. It's easier than you might think, because it is. Welcome to Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. And on the beginning of this year, there's so many people who are trying to do something different. And growing your business or organization through story should be topping your list because it's working. When people can see your work, then it informs them. And it informs them not only about what you do, but who you are, what you want to be known for, all through story. And one of the most important elements behind that is media strategy. For those who don't know me, I'm Jacqueline Jimenez with Newsworthy Stories, and I am a news producer and media strategist and the author of How to Get Television News Coverage. It's easier than you might think. And I have worked in the business, in newsrooms over 22 years and in the business over 30. So yes, I've worked for ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox affiliates, but also for production companies, producing documentaries, commercials, and most importantly, corporate videos. Because now I train businesses and organizations how to identify news stories, and then I help them either get news coverage or I produce news stories for social media. And what that looks like is I tell it like a news story, but I highlight it like it's a corporate video. So people, they get to hear the story that's about your business or within your business or about somebody in your business, but they also uh, get to learn how to contact you, how to get in touch with you. And it's a little different than a news story, but it does the same thing and more, because now people are going to hear your messaging as well. And usually when news does a story about you, they own the messaging. But a news story on social media, you own the messaging. So today I thought I would do a little show and tell. You may hear or seen some of the promos for workshops and master classes, but actually going to it, you might be thinking, I need to go to that one day. I'm going to show you a little bit of what they even look like at all. And you can do this just by going to Eventbrite and looking up, Jacqueline Jimenez, or how to get television news coverage, how to get television and social media news coverage, master classes on how to get television news coverage. All those things will come up, and you'll be able to find me on Eventbrite. And really, I have one workshop, which is an introductory workshop. And I really encourage every business, nonprofit to take this workshop, because it's eye-opening to how not only the newsroom works, meaning what some stories news isn't going to cover, and why send a press release for a news story news can't cover? They're just not capable of covering a certain story. So why not understand what news can actually cover, but more so, how can I share my story in a way, especially if you're a business, that doesn't sound like a commercial? And that's my expertise. So what I do is I change that angle, and teach you how to change that angle a little bit. But most importantly, how to identify a news story. And if you don't know what's newsworthy, which is really, really why I wrote my handbook, How to Get Television News Coverage, it's easier than you might think. Ideally, because most people don't understand what newsrooms consider newsworthy. If they did, they would send So many more stories. And so I really break it down for you as simple as you can be because news is simple. It's simple storytelling, but you have to share it a little bit in a way that news can turn it around and put it on the air in a timely manner. And that's where it catches most people. Uh, they're not ready for that. They want a story told, but they want news to come up with all the information, and they don't have time. So what I do is I break it down for you, and I show you uh, how to present that story in a way that news can cover it and that they can digest it with the understanding that they're receiving hundreds of press releases on a daily basis. How can they find yours? How can they see yours immediately? How do I reach the newsroom? Who do I ask for? Everything. But most importantly, again, is that your your cell phone is so powerful. And you're going to learn how to use your cell phone to generate news coverage for television and social media. Social media, what happens? What do you mean news coverage for social media? Well, you have all these digital news stations now, and their stories come straight to people's phones. And a lot of people are getting their news today from their telephones, especially, in your community. There are digital news uh, stations that cover stories just in your city. And those digital news stations are looking for stories. I mean, they're like, where are my stories? And whether it's digital news or television news, if you don't tell them the story exists, guess what? They don't know. So one of the things I want to show you also is I have master classes, right? And they're based on my handbook, How to Get Television News Coverage. I'm going to pull this forward so maybe you can see it even better. So there you go. And so I want you to see that I have 5 master classes, and I run them either individually. So, you may think that, oh, I only need, master class 1 or masterclass 5, which is masterclass 5 is definitely something every business should take. Masterclass 5, because it's how to use your phones and how to write press releases to generate news coverage. That is a definite one you can take by itself if you can't do all of them. But as you can see, beginning on the 28th of January, I've got Masterclass 1, which is the big question, the elements every story should have, or how to generate teasable news stories. Masterclass 2 is going to focus on the benefits, how to create customer loyalty through a news story for social media, the different types of ways to tell that story to a television news station so that you're not giving them just one option of how to cover a story. So we look at different coverage opportunities to cover one story. Often a big mistake that is made is that many people will be so excited about getting to that event. They've got this event in their mind, and they're like, okay, we're going to promote this event, We need news coverage for this particular event. And it's often a mistake because you're so focused on the event that you don't realize there are several stories leading up to that event that news is probably interested in. And it's something that you can do on social media. So what I do at Newsworthy Stories is use the same tactics that newsrooms use to engage with viewers. I now teach you how to become that newsroom and allow social media, because you have an audience every time you post. So how do I reach that audience? How do I engage with that audience? And so we're using the same tactics that newsrooms use, that insider knowledge on how to do that. That's what I do. at Newsworthy Stories. And that's what I do in these workshops is you're getting that insider knowledge on how to engage with other people. And so, these are the types of things that you're going to learn in these workshops as well. Um, Finding out the benefits, uh, often learning how to create anticipation leading up to a news story. So many times you miss it. And now news only has that one event to uh, cover. And if they're not available or if breaking news happens, then the whole opportunity is gone. Oh, I just want to talk a little bit about press releases because I talked a little bit about it a minute ago when I said that Masterclass 5 talks about shooting video yourself in press releases. Well, I wasn't trying to write press release. I never have. I don't want to be a PR person, but everyone considers me one because I do help so many businesses generate news coverage, television news coverage. But for me, I consider myself a news producer who, by the way, can produce and generate news coverage for you. And I say that jokingly because since I used to receive those press releases that people would send, and I would say, gosh, this press release is just the worst, you know? And so I started thinking when I started working with my clients and telling their stories or generating news coverage for them, if I was, what would I want as a producer in a press release? And so I started creating these customized press releases that seem to be getting the attention of course, not only the producers, but first is the assignment desk. Because you have to sell your story to the assignment desk before you even get to the producers. I didn't realize I was an expert in creating press releases until I started doing it because I just used to receive so many. And I'm like, this doesn't have the information I want. I wish I had a little more information, or I wish I could see what they mean. And so I really began to think about what is it that I really want as a producer in a press release, or what do producers really have time to look at, or what do the writers who are going to see this press release, you know, what do they need, to write it? And since I knew all that, from working in newsrooms over 22 years, I knew what the assignment desk was looking for. And I believe that's why these press releases that I write, and I've created them in a customized format, I think that's why they're generating so much news coverage, which is great. But I show you how to do it and why it's working and how to generate the elements. Even if you don't want to write the news press releases yourself, it's so important to understand how to generate a better press release so that you can grab their attention, so that they can see that story, so that when the time comes and you're thinking, oh, I'm planning this event. Oh, wait, for our press release, we're going to need some pictures of such and such and such and such to send with that press release so that the news has an idea of what we're talking about. It's television. It's show. You have to show your work. You have to show them what you mean, so that they can visualize what it is they're going to see. So let me go on. So that was 4, and that's really, I've talked so much about 5 already, but that's the other thing. The other thing is what I recommend for, and again, you can take the master classes by choice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could take them individually, and many entrepreneurs like to do that. But my mid-size to corporations, you really need to take the entire series. And I recommend this for entrepreneurs, but sometimes they can't, do it. And I've been offering for, some of the first 10 or 15 people to sign up. I've been offering a 2 for 1. So to make it affordable for the entrepreneurs to take this entire series, that's how important it is. It's important that if your entire staff understands how to generate news coverage, you are going to be in such a better place because, and I mean everybody, from the from every part of your organization. There are no big and littles when it comes to generating news coverage because just about everybody in your building or in your organization has a story. And the question is, which story are you going to tell first? And the other thing is, if you have a franchise, especially if you're in a corporation that has a franchise, wow, you have great opportunity because if a story is working in one market, meaning if it's working in South Florida, that same story can probably be told in Texas. And you can use that same press release, but with a few changes, and you could probably generate a story in Texas. I've already done it, so I know it's possible. I have the testimonials to prove it. Uh, News coverage on the same day with with the same story in two different states. I know it works um, because news is simple. If it's a story in one place, it's a story in somewhere else. It's also true for the affiliates. So when I say that's true for the affiliates, what do I mean by that? When I say it's true for the affiliates, so as a news producer, one of the things that as a news producer for ABC, NBC, CBS, or Fox, all of us have affiliates all over the country, and you know, and also around the world. And so when we have a great story, and our assignment desk, it'll put it up on a feed, and everybody gets to share some of these stories that people in a different city um, shot, but it's still interesting. It's interesting enough, even in Miami, that we can cover it in Miami, or it's just a human interest story, or it's really tragic, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is a horrific story. And it's still interesting enough for us to run in this market. But again, it's shot somewhere else. That's how stories travel. That's how your personal branding happens. We wouldn't know anybody famous if it wasn't for the media. If the media wasn't taking that story and sharing it from affiliate to affiliate to affiliate to the networks, nobody would know those people. We would know all the famous people you know today. Because how else would it get around? How else would we see it? We wouldn't. And so sharing it now, social media is another big help, right? And you have more control of that. So in these workshops and master classes, I really teach you how to strategize, how to use, even when you get news coverage. Some people, they get news coverage and they do nothing with it. That's when you're just getting started. What do you do with that news coverage? What does it mean when I get news coverage? What happens? Well, you automatically get credibility. You automatically gain loyalty. And so, what do I do with it? How do I harness it? As much, and I mean as much as I love telling stories, sharing stories, there is nothing more important than the media strategy behind it. And if you would take the time to learn the media strategy, you will be so far ahead of your competitors. It's not hard. That's why my book says how to get television news coverage. It's easier than you might think because it is. It really is. And it's not just easy for me because I started shooting stories with my phone only in the last few years. And I've always, as a producer for news, I've always had a cameraman. I didn't have to shoot it, never had to shoot it, always had a cameraman. But I did have to edit, right? In the newsroom. After my show was done, I would have to edit and help other newsrooms. Sometimes I put pieces together for other shows. So I knew how to edit. I know what a story looks like. I know what the camera crews were shooting. So what did I do? I took my phone and I started shooting what they shot, you know? So I'm teaching you that insider knowledge of over 22 years in the newsroom, and then my own from working with and production companies. And so, can you imagine with social media, the power of social media, and really the power of television media in your hands? You really need to know how to harness it. If you want to make a difference to this year and the years to come, this is the way to go. Media strategy, telling your story, growing your story through business through story. That's the way to go. Show it, show it, show it. That's my thing. Show your work, and you will not regret it. It is just so powerful, but you have to experience it. Do this today. Do this today. Uh, and of course, now the one thing about these workshops and master classes, I want to tell you, you will find that when you sign up or when you get there, if these dates don't work for you, which really I put them out there just so that I can promote them. If those dates don't work for you, reach out to me. The date on the calendar that works for you. These are just so that I put these dates out there just so I can really. But most people, they will call me and we'll set up a time that works for their entire staff, that works for, for their business or nonprofit, that organ or agency, whatever works for you. That's the time, that we work with. So don't think that you're locked into these dates and we can only do it these dates. These dates are really to promote. Yes, I would love to fill the dates because now I know those dates are open. I put them on the calendar because I know they're open. But if you have another date or another week that is better for your business and your corporation, and then let's do it on that date. And so I just wanted to make that clear that, these dates are not the only dates available to do these workshops and master classes. You are able to schedule a date that works for you and your team. But most importantly, let's get it on the calendar. Let's do this. Let's do it today. Thanks so much for watching Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. I look forward to sharing your story.
Come on. The second annual Autism Awareness Golf Tournament will be hosted here in the Country Club of Coral Springs, and you're invited. We have sponsorships available, and we'll let you set up a tent on any hole.
Still made it to the board.
See you there.